With good news for today from Baptist Press, I'm Brandon Porter. The U.S. Supreme Court debated with lawyers at length Monday whether a state has the right to compel speech in the latest case involving the intersection of religious freedom and same-sex marriage. The justice heard oral arguments for more than 2 hours in a designer's challenge of a Colorado policy that requires her to create custom websites for same-sex weddings in violation of her religious beliefs. After 2 lower courts ruled in favor of the state, the Supreme Court agreed to decide whether the government can use a public accommodation law, in this case the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act, to compel an artist to speak or remain silent without violating the First Amendment's protection of free speech. The High Court is expected to issue an opinion before it adjourns next summer in what is so far the most significant case of its term involving the rights of religious adherents. The U.S. State Department added 2 countries to its annual designation of the world's worst persecutors, but failed to return Nigeria to the list despite requests from a Southern Baptist entity and other advocates for international religious freedom. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced Friday his designation of the latest countries of particular concern, a category reserved for the world's most severe violators of freedom and belief. His list added Cuba, Nicaragua, and maintained the top 10 countries from 2021: Burma, China, Eritrea, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, and Turkmenistan.
Good News for Today is made possible through our friends at the Voice of the Martyrs, a nonprofit organization that serves persecuted Christians around the world. Founded in 1967 by Richard and Sabina Wurmbrand, VOM is dedicated to inspiring believers to deepen their commitment to Christ and to fulfill His Great Commission, no matter the cost. Find out more and sign up for their free monthly magazine at vom.org/good news.
As Southern Baptists continue to reckon with sexual abuse and take measures to prevent it and to care for survivors, many state Baptist conventions took historic actions at their annual meetings this fall. According to historic Southern Baptist polity, the Southern Baptist Convention has no authority over state Baptist conventions or their entities. Any policies and procedures established by the National Convention govern neither the state convention or local associations. The majority of state conventions responded in some way to sexual abuse within their convention of churches. Those responses varied, including receiving the reports of State Convention Commission Task Force, bylaw adjustments, updating sexual abuse-related policies, and the production and distribution of prevention resources. You can find more on that story and others at our website, baptistpress.com. Make sure to sign up for our morning and afternoon emails while you're there.